And now it's time for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association.
Hi, I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
And I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And we're the insiders, and this is a really insider question. So, Chuck, the longest serving Secretary of State in both Wisconsin and I believe national history surprised everyone 3 months into his, 10th, 11th term by retiring. And the governor appoints Sarah Godlewski to that position. So what does that mean for her, for the Democratic Party in this state?
Well, clearly this was a huge lifeline that was thrown to her by Governor Evers. She served and then ran for governor, lost, ran for U.S. Senate, lost. What this does is it makes her viable and strongly viable going forward. She has a statewide platform to use, and she used that, I thought, very effectively when she was previously serving. So, and the secretary and the treasurer and all these things, secretary of state, they're all kind of interchangeable. Everybody knows that the ones that matter are governor and lieutenant governor. So, although attorney general, let's be clear, attorney general is important. This puts Sarah Godlewski back on the map. She was always going to be active, but now she actually has a platform to operate from. And so she will definitely be a player going forward. It was interesting to hear her say that she was surprised to hear about the appointment. So, apparently she hadn't been working on it. If people want to believe that. The other thing is, I was a little bit surprised that given that there's a female lieutenant governor, that would be done so quickly. And I don't know, but it would be interesting to know as a fly on the wall what the conversations were with the lieutenant governor's office before this went on.
I'm sure there's a bunch of intrigue there. I'll say this. I think this is obviously a wonderful gift from the governor to Godlewski. It really gives her a chance to sort of reset here. Not only gives her a statewide platform, as you said, but she made a bunch of mistakes in that U.S. Senate race. Gives her a chance to sort of reset, spend 4 years almost campaigning around the state, helping Democratic candidates, working with the grassroots, all while receiving a public salary. I mean, that's all good for her in trying to re-steer herself back into the mainstream and as a person that people are talking about for future offices like governor, which is maybe why the lieutenant governor might not have been as excited about this as others were on the Democratic side. On the other hand, on the Republican side, and I would argue to some extent, perhaps for the voters of Wisconsin, Doug LaFolle's decision here was, well, as loony as he is, he just won by the narrowest margin. And 3 months later, he says, I can't take this job anymore. Well, why did you run? Why didn't you give the voters of the state of Wisconsin the chance to pick somebody new after 42 years? Why did you have to be the person to run for that? And then he gets all this national money. And that's the chance for him to pay back his debt that he's been carrying on his campaign committee for many, many years. Gosh, now that the debt's paid, I can't take this job anymore. I think I'll resign. So I think his decisions were bad. I think the governor, that was probably a smart decision on his part. And Sarah Godlewski gets another shot at the prize.
Well, I can't let that was a lot, but let me just say this. The Democrats felt some similar feelings when Alberta Darling resigned kind of in the middle of her term, and the timing was just so interesting that it came at a point where it looked like the seat would benefit from a special election, and it might even benefit the race for Supreme Court for Republicans. So it's
at least there was an election there, Chuck. At least there was an election to replace her, not an appointment.
Just remember that if you want to understand some of politics, good starting point is to watch the movie Casablanca. And if you watch the movie Casablanca, you will hear the famous line from the inspector who receives his winnings. And then the person says, I am shocked to find gambling going on in this institution. There's an awful lot of that seems to play out, and it seems to happen on both sides. And I think the Alberta Darling thing and the Doug LaFolle thing aren't that far apart. Definitely, they are not the best of the best in terms of experiences that people would want to cite as profiles encourage.
All right. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to The Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association